Hello Scorpio, welcome back to my channel The Vibes Inside. I'm Mariana and I'm ready here to do a reading for you. I have pre-shuffled the cards, laid them out and opened up, and I think I have a story here for you. It's actually pretty clear, or at least like the overall energy here is quite clear. So if you've looked up the Libra reading, I just did, there is a similar card here, and I actually feel like there's still a lingering feeling back to this Virgo reading I did about 2 weeks ago or something, where like the Virgo somehow had this massive hit. And I go as far as this is something Earth has gone through, that our Earth has gone through some kind of massive hit. And somehow we have inherited a knowledge through bloodlines and some kind of consciousness that has been with us. This is then, if my thesis here is correct, it will be so that the first zodiac signs up till from Aries to Virgo, they don't have this as much. It's not apparent to them because it first happened at Virgo. So some may incarnate with a little more of, you could say, enthusiasm and, you know, like trust perhaps. And the second part carries now, we say, the aftermath of something. And but I have beautiful energy here. Beautiful energy for you, Scorpio. It's so amazing. I don't know exactly what's going on, but it's very, very fresh and bright and new and everything. So okay, so I have the Four of Air here as overall energy for you, Scorpio. Well, she may not seem that bright and shiny and glowy and everything, but Four of Air is a healing card. It's a card of healing. In some regards, and it's clarified with the Virgo, with the Victory card here. The Victory card came up in the Libra reading also, where it has been something Libra has been working with. Please go back and have a look at it if what I'm saying here for you makes sense, right? It's like you have taken the attempt of Libra and now you're doing something else with it. Libra sits in a yin healing. Like that's the first thing that we do when we get in trouble, right? When we get hurt, injured somehow. The first thing we do, if we can, is to lay down and rest and receive perhaps healing. Maybe that's what's in here now. Like there's this, take this healing in. It's overall energy. So it's something that is, and she sits here, right? She's not really doing much. She's healing here. It's a healing energy. And it comes up for you, Scorpio, as overall energy here. This is very, very beautiful. It's like you take the attempt from, it's like you adapt. You adapt the way, the Libra way, to heal something and sit with something here. Right? I have had here, I have here a driver, underlying energy for you here. 7 of Fire, clarified with the Beloved card here. I said last time that you were, last reading, also after the hit. I see it a bit like, it's almost like an entity that goes through something, and the zodiacs kind of explain that what happens when you adapt Aries energy to something, what happens when you adapt Taurus and Gemini and so on energy to something, right? Before a hit, after a hit, and so on. It's like as you see with my tomatoes as the front picture, I see that the ripening of the tomato is like an evolutionary state. It's a growth state. And I feel we are in that now. There is, in spiritual community, there is this understanding that we are going through the split right now. That the third dimension and the fifth dimension, it's becoming more clear now. That there are new energies here that we can work with if we want to. You have free will, of course. But I feel the energy like when I got up today and I just knew I should do your reading today. I opened the window and it was amazing energy that came in here. And I just felt, wow, this is amazing for Scorpio, right? So I feel like there's a lot of healing here. If you just sit down and relax and you take it, right? It's definitely here for you. It's like you're adapting the yin way, right? Because this came out also in the Libra reading, and it talked about a sacrifice. It talked about sacrificing victimhood and pain and suffering in order to have something else. So in order to, you could say, identify as something else, you have to sacrifice that part that still believes you are a victim. This is what Libra was doing. Kindly. Again, she sits here, holds it, right? She holds it. She concerns herself about it, meditates. She was quiet. She was, again, it's a healing mode. It's a healing mode here, where you sit with something slowly, meditative. You may feel it also. It's a yin way, right? A yin. Libra is Venus, so it's a loving, kind way of approaching something. Your underlying energy here, this has been a driver towards this process here, right? So this has been working in you. I said last time, it was like you were still doing a heart massage of something, like you were still keeping something alive, even though it was maybe obsolete in some sense. But because the reason why you were doing it's because of this, right? Again, as I said with that Virgo reading these 2 weeks ago here, the card that was almost destroyed was the card that is called Ace of Raphael. It talks about positive emotional feelings, fulfilling relationship, deep and spiritual insights. And if something like that gets crushed, it could lead to a heartbreak, right? It's something precious here. We do want to have positive, trusting emotions, right? We do want to have fulfilling relationship. We do want to have, maybe if you're into that, but that you can trust your intuition, that you can trust your gut feeling, right? The insights, we still want that. When that gets taken or invaded or broken, it's like it's a war, right? Like that's a declaration of war with devastating effect. So here we have, you could see, and I think you hold this energy, like you hold a lot of this devastating, deep hurt, actually. Like I think, Scorpio, you are the one that knows this. Like your passion for the raw, unconditional, beautiful love you're the holder of this, and that's why you were trying to do the heart massage, because it shouldn't disappear, right? It shouldn't go. And now here, but even Jupiter gets tired. I don't know, but even the strongest, biggest warrior gets tired of keeping something alive that did die. It did leave. We don't have unconditional love here. Like, we have it when it suits us, and when we are, like if you have slept bad for several days, you're not that unconditionally loving anymore, right? It all depends on circumstances. You can get so worn out that you can uphold that ethical kind of behavior. We are not machines, right? But I've seen this, like even Jupiter could get tired, even if it's very, very big, and it wants to, like Jupiter goes retrograde right now. But even Jupiter, this giant planet here, that is usually, it stands for expansion, good luck, fortune, forward moving, you could say expansive energy, right? It wants to grow, it wants to be great, it wants to be good, or like good, but like expansively good. Like it wants to enhance the utmost beautiful or in you. Like Jupiter is trying to do that with you. It works with you all the time, right? But it's like, depending on where your Jupiter is, right? But Jupiter is a giant planet, and the reason why we see it as the expansive, I see him as a magnifying glass. So when you put Jupiter on something, it magnifies. It becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So of course, if you think bad thoughts or you think negative thoughts, it can expand everything, right? That's why I've tried to say that try to keep your awareness up and as light as possible, because, well, depending on where you have your Jupiter, Saturn, and other big planets like that, that can have an impact on you, it's important. And somehow I get the feeling like, like the heart massage of something, even though if you were like a giant Scorpio, right? Even you can get tired of doing a heart massage for eons, right? When something did leave the planet, trying to keep, the hope of something, the dream of something. But it becomes less and less and less, because every time you look around yourself, every time you have a relationship with someone, it's not unconditional. It's not raw. It's not to the core. It's not vulnerable. And at the same time, being that vulnerable is scary, right? Because we do know that it's conditional love we have here. We don't have unconditional love. I think it's coming in, but it takes a while. And in order for it to come into our hearts, we have to shed our walls, right? So here we have, as a driver forward for your healing process, where you sit here in a yin way, you become yin-like. This is where a Scorpio can cry. Sit like still by yourself and just feel everything. Right? It's I have beautiful energy here. It really wants to support you. But I think, Scorpio, you're the ones that may feel this very, very deeply, and you may fight it. I think it was last time I said that a long, long time ago, I talked about that a storm is coming. A storm is coming. It was a Scorpio reading. I remember that the storm is coming. And, well, a storm is something that we can manage in a yang way, like Scorpios. Then we start fighting, right? Okay, they can just come. I'm ready, right? But this is love. So you can't do your usual way. Like you can't do your usual. The 7 here, the 7 of fire, and it's this is the beloved, right? This is the deepest, most vulnerable, pure, beautiful thing that you could imagine. As I said, this, like Ace of Raphael, like it's the unconditional connections, high vibrational love energies, right? But it got a hit, and Earth kind of regressed into or descended into a conditional love experience, duality experience. And normally you do this 7 of fire here. 7 of fire is like, or 7 of wands, is like you stand here and you're fighting off all these attempts that come in here, these small fireflies here. They are annoying this unicorn here. See, he's kind of just trying to wipe it away. That's usually also what you see in the Rider-Waite Tarot, that someone stands in front of the cave and they have like a stick there, and they're trying to fight off everything that comes near you, right? Because that's the normal way for Scorpio, right? You fight it off. You say something. You can say something harsh, perhaps. You can say something like you create a tsunami, right? You create a wave of like attacking emotions, like that. You could do that and become, and it's very persistent and insistent. It persists on like get away, right? And there can be several tactics to this. Look also at the darkness that is here, right? That there is this attempt of defending something here. You're fighting something off to defend something, and at the same time you have been trying to keep it alive, right? You couldn't, like this idea that it would leave the world. That is unbearable, especially if you knew what it was, like if you remember. And this is your normal way. Like this has been your driver up till now. You have done this. Like you've been fighting, fighting everything off. But it means that you are in resistance mode. You're not letting anything in. It can't touch you here. And you are ready to fight for something. That's usually what you do in your scorpionic way with your tentacles out there, right? And you can go to deep depth with this. Like if you have to use revenge, like vengeance, mocking, gossiping, whatever, to fight something off, you'll do it. I don't think there is a limit, not when we talk about this. There is no limit to fight this, or like to fight for this. There's no limit to what you would do here. Not really. Like violence. That's Scorpio, right? You're the death card. Like not that you are attacking people in that way, but you are prepared to you're prepared to go very far to protect something very vital here. And I think you have been trying to do the heart massage for a long time. Now Libra comes in and say, okay, there's something that needs to go for something new, for healing to happen, for us to rise again. Now we have been laying here. That's the yin attempt. We have been laying here in the bed and resting. And maybe you have been, I don't know, if you got a hit at some point. That's what it does. The energy just, it repeats itself, and it means that you may have experienced a kind of hit, right? And what did you do? Well, maybe you did lay down for a while, and then you attempted to, like get up again after an operation or something. But usually we lay first. That's the very first aid, healing after some kind of massive hit. We just lay there, and I think Earth did too. Like, I think Earth literally just did hang there in the cosmic realm and could do nothing. So something had to come in and also provide some kind of help here. So this is usually what you are used to here. That's the fighting, right? Is the fighting, get off my back here, or I'll, right? And you can do it lightly. You just say something to people and they get offended or something and they turn away and walk away. And you have that power. Like you have ways. You can scan people and you can figure out a way where you can kind of get them off if that's what you want. And in this case it is. You have been defending here. And that's what I feel. I said a long time, or 2 readings back, I said that you are the yang approach to healing after a big hit. So yin decides to lay down. The yang decides to fight off new impact. That's what you've been doing here. You've been fighting off new impact because something got hit here. And I'm fighting off everything to protect what's laying there and kind of needs to recover. And you've been the one ready to fight here. This is what you have been doing for a long time. Keeping defenses up, keeping out, because something back here got a hit. Like this got a hit, and I need to keep new things out. Like germs, right? I need to have the yin takes care of the healing, the laying there, the resting, rejuvenating, maybe receiving treatment. Venus is receptive. You are yang energy. You can be defensive and protective, right? So you take the protector role of something. Like our immune system. I would see that as yang because it defends, it protects, and it defends, right? And the healer part of it is like the immune system is kind of what shields us from germs and everything. That's how if I can, compare what I'm feeling here is going on. And you have been in this moment for a long time. Like this has been what you have been doing. You have been standing there in front of the cave, fighting everything off. You're standing in front of the cave where this is. And it got a massive hit. And you're trying to repair what's left of it or keep it still going, right? And Libra comes in now with this message that says it's like she comes in with a message that says, okay, if this in some way can, like, if we in some way can have a sense of stability and growth and everything, we must let go of the old version. Like, the old version of unconditional love is unconditional love. It cannot exist in that way. So it's going to exist in another way. And maybe that's what we are experiencing. That's what we feel when we are here, right? That things are unconditional. It's conditional. It's divided, right? It's divided. And when we meet a new person, we are trying to figure out if we can trust this one, right? Or when we eat something, we will figure out if, or can figure out, or can maybe not figure out if it's actually good for us or not. Some things we know, it's already talked about, what is healthy and unhealthy food, but there can still be stuff we don't know. So we have to navigate, right? Instead of just having this giant open heart to everything that is around us and trust everything that is there, that's not what we do. We have certain walls up and we navigate, right? We navigate through the waters there, or through the jungle or something. And every time we encounter something, we have to figure out if it's good or bad for us. That's this unconditional, or the conditional thing, the conditional thing. That we don't know it exactly. And at one time, it was possible to have this open heart, because there was a total and utterly and innate experience that everything around us would be good for us, would help us, support us, that we were safe here. But this hit kind of created something different. And the way you have approached this is this. But I think that, as it says, even Jupiter gets tired. Even if you have like been massively trying to defend something for eons here, there could be a feeling that in order to get forward, like in order to grow, like the tomato, in order to ripe or to ascend or to even get to the point that you believe in love after love, so after something broke, that you can believe again, it means that we have to let go of something. We have to let go of the dream of something, or the hope of something. Because it seems like, especially if that's what you have been doing for a very long time here, that it seems like it's not collaborating, right? If you keep doing the heart massage, but it never starts working on its own, it seems like it's not cooperating. That only you are doing something here, right? And Libra now comes in and say, we have to let something go in order for something else to come in. It's like a broken heart in, like, you know, like a drawing would look like that, and then with a line through it. And you can do whatever you can with that heart. You can even paint it red again, but it doesn't change the fact that the hit did happen. And by defending it all here, it just means that you have not been dealing with what's underneath here, what happened. You have not been dealing with it. You've just been in defensive mode and fighting off like germs, right? So every time maybe someone has, said something to you, and it touched upon something very deeply, you may have just run from it. You may have just turned your back to it and walked away, or, like attacked them or something. Kept them at a distance because it's, you don't want them to go there. That's your normal way. You start defending yourself, protecting yourself. But here it actually feels like here it feels like you're doing something else here. It feels like you're actually following the lead of Venus here. You're listening to Libra. I get almost the feeling it's like she's asking you, does it work? What you're doing here? Does it work? Like, do you feel happy here? Are you happy here when you do this? Maybe you should try another attempt, right? And Libra talks about like accepting that something didn't work out. Or accepting that we may not get the answer ever. That what you're hoping for, it may not come. Or that what lays down here at the bottom of the sea here, the attempt to keep it as it was is beautiful, right? But it's not doable. It's like, I think I said it in the Libra reading also. Let's say you have been a very active person, doing a lot of exercise and feeling quite strong and maybe, attractive and everything. And then you have some kind of impact. And that impact changes something. Like maybe it literally has to do with your heart here, like your physical heart. It could be the feeling of a heartbreak, but it could also be like a physiological thing about your heart here. That that from now on you can't do as much exercise as you used to. Maybe you gain weight because of that. Maybe you feel like your life has lost, that a vital part of your life has been lost because you like being active and the community that you are part of, like, I don't know, the football field or, I don't know, the fitness club or something. It's kind of gone. Like, you now stand on the sideline, right? And you can just watch the others play. And people somehow have this sense of maybe a bit of pity that it's sad that you can't do this, and I'm sorry that you were involved in this kind of accident or something. Like it becomes, it's not the same thing when you get to the field. People are kind of cautious what to say to you, and they don't know exactly how to approach you perhaps. And deep down that you will never be on the field again. You can't, you can't also not get the feedback of being, let's say, a successful football player, or you don't get the feedback of having an athletic body perhaps, and that kind of look. I talked in the Virgo reading also something about losing the sense of worth, a worth that you have built around some kind of maybe activities or looks or things you could do, right? Yeah, it's almost like even Jupiter can get tired. It can get tired. It's almost like this horse here needs to rest, right? That it's time to let something go, like being protective around someone, or maybe yourself, because in this process it also means that when you are, if this is about yourself, it's like you have defenses up. It means that you can't receive help either. Like you're just kind of trying to fight something off while you expect something to heal by itself somehow, right? And Libra is kind of asking you to maybe try to, like, the victory that you're looking for, the thing that you're looking for, that really matters, the thing that you hold dearest. Do you get it by this? Like, do you get it by being defensive? By being defensive, you're fighting everything off here. Also, things and energies that actually could help you, that would help you, that would be beneficial for you. This is kind of it's a fighting mode. You know these fight, flight, fawn, and freeze. You are in a fighting mode, and it means it's alerted nervous system. You are on guard. You are in an alarm awareness when you sit like this here, because something vital is at stake here for you. Something vital is at stake, and therefore you are in this, like, you are in alert mode. But alert mode is not a alert mode is it's very exhausting energy. Maybe that's why I said even Jupiter can get tired, because even if you have enormous strength and you do have a lot of power, Scorpio, it's almost like you know, like when a balloon, like the air just disappears and the balloon gets all flat, like your batteries collapse. And therefore you actually get into this mode now, because you can't seem to hold it up. Like you can't seem to be doing this anymore. Libra comes in and asks you to adopt some of her ways. She says we have to let go of the victimhood. That was in her reading, right? That we have to let go of, like, being a victim, being hurt, being wounded, being suffering, and being in pain. And when we are suffering, in pain, hurt, broken, this is where we have the defenses of that. That's what's here. That's why you have been doing this here, as this is underlying energy. So this has been the approach up till now, right? But now, as I said, it's like yeah, even Jupiter gets tired. Like it's like even if you have enormous power to uphold, like, and actually to hold the pain, like, because you are the zodiac sign that actually can hold this. Others, they would break down. They can hold pain and suffering and hurt and brokenness. Like, you're the only one that actually can hold this energy. It's very intense, and you're the only one who can do that, actually. Really. Others run away from it, like, but you can actually stand in it, and that's why you are the death card in tarot. That's why you stand for death and transformation and rebirth, because you can actually do this. You can stand in the midst of this enormous, intense energy. But I also see it like you go into rebirth mode here. Like I see it from standing and avoiding death here. Avoiding the release of something. You are actually accepting the release of something here, I think. You're accepting the release. And maybe that's why I have this like really beautiful energy here, because it's like releasing a giant weight loss, like a weight load, you know, like of responsibility, like it's like a story, a narrative that goes way back, and feeling that you needed to fight for something, that you needed to fight for, and you were the only one who could, right? Like it's all on your shoulders, right? That's why it's such giant release, and maybe that's why I had this feeling of like so much fresh new light, and like, you know, like for the first time in eons actually breathing, and feeling connected here. At the bottom here I get the Earth Star chakra here as a, I want to say almost like an outcome card. So the Earth Star, of course, talks about grounding. It talks about it talks about also here, it says initiation at the bottom here. Initiation, and it's a card where it's card number 1, which is also important, because 1 is always about, you could say, new beginnings. A change, definitely. It's card number 1 here, right? You see it out here, 1. So to have a new approach, it's like, you know, like it's like when you, this feels a little bit like holding on to a grudge or something, holding on to a grudge, and feeling that if I'm not doing it, nobody else cares, right? If I'm not doing this, nobody else cares what happens, what happened, or what it is that I'm fighting for here. And you are fighting for something beautiful here. It's quite interesting, because I feel like I get more and more like a vibe that all of the zodiacs are actually fighting for something. Something is core to them, and if you understand the core of them, where they come from, like what is it that is innately their beloved here, the core that is such vital energy. If you understand that, you will be able to understand why they do the things they do, say the things they do, act the way they do. I get more and more that vibe. It's like I see that each of the zodiacs are protecting something, or something is something here is an idolization, or something is the fantastical thing here. This is what everything in them burns for, right? This is what they, and you have that as well, and it's, but it's different. Each of you, each of the zodiacs, they have something that is their core, you could say. And sometimes we just don't understand each other's core, where they come from, why this is so important for them. But it gets more and more obvious to me that you are also the defender of something. And you have been, like, you've really been doing this, and in dark times, right? In dark times, standing there, fighting for something when everything was still chaotic, when everything was still You know, like when there was still turmoil, maybe you have been in a tumultuous time, Scorpio, here, where you have really been fighting here to keep something safe. It has been a dark time. And it has been, like, because it has been unconditional. What you have been fighting for is, yeah, I get not fair. Look up the Virgo reading also. I said that Virgo is on a suicide mission. Like what they are attempting to do is not possible in a third dimension. Like it's not, like literally physically, like physics doesn't allow it to happen. It's the same thing here. Physics in the third dimension will not allow for unconditional love. It's not possible. But you have been doing the heart massage underwater when nobody was looking anyway, right? You have been keeping the seed, like a tiny seed of something. It's a memory, right? It's a memory of what was. But you know, this heart has been hit. It has been hit. And we can't, like, that is not debatable. It's and again here, Earth star, it's like the Earth core, right? That you are connecting with something that is very vital, very important, and maybe even to the point of like original, right? Something original, something authentic, original. So the Earth Star chakra here talks about oneness, collective consciousness, anchoring transmissions from the higher realms, sacred Earth knowledge, integrating of the divine, working with grid lines. You're standing at a gateway into the unknown with trust in your heart, because trust is vital. The third dimension is full of mistrust. But in order to ascend or to connect with the fifth dimension and a higher love frequency, we need to trust, like to get that back. That's one of the vital things that I feel like Venus comes in with here. That the victimhood, this idea that we are survivor of something, that we are not a victim of something, that we can even get into victorhood, right? That we can actually get to a point of overcoming something. So instead of... Hi Scorpio, sorry I had to make a little break in the video. But I'm back here now, and we're continuing with your reading here. So actually, while I just had this little break, I also feel like I had another message that actually came in for you. You know, like here you have been standing, fighting for something here, for your beloved here. It could be that you actually did take a lot of responsibility, feeling you were the only one who could do something here. But first of all, there are other yang energies around in the zodiac, right? And they could help with something here. But it's almost like feeling very responsible for something. And as I said, even Jupiter can become tired, right? Of doing maybe the work of more people, right? Trying that. It's almost like it hangs on me. Like something has now gotten on my shoulders just because I can, right? Just because I can hold a lot of like intense energy. It's now on my shoulders, but I can become tired too, right? Or I can need healing too, right? I can need to have a break too. And even though maybe people rely on me to kind of hold something, you know, well, I want to go back to this idea of the oneness, like the oneness that also comes with the Earth Star initiation here. Because the oneness understanding is that in the oneness, awareness or consciousness or space, everything is, all yin and yang is perfectly balanced together. And therefore being in that place, you could say, feels like total balance. Nothing is ever too much or too little. It's perfectly balanced all the time. But that's not what we feel here on Earth, is it? Like, we don't feel it like that, especially if we feel like we're carrying a lot of weight here. Like, and Scorpios, it seems like you are the part of that oneness that stands with these very intensive energies of dying and rebirthing yourself, or rebirthing, dying and rebirthing energies, right? You stand between and hold a lot of transformation energy. But of course, to get to the rebirth, you have to accept the death of something. That's what I feel like Libra is coming in here and advising, right? She's advising. It's almost like, you know, like a mother. She comes in and tells you, maybe you have been stressed out, my dear, right? Maybe you should take a break. Like, maybe you should just, you know, like, don't make too many plans for the next week, right? And you just say, I don't have the time for that, right? I don't have the time for that. I have to be out there. I don't have the time to rest, right? I don't have the time because I'm occupied. I'm on a very, like, important mission here, right? And that is correct. It would be the same as telling our immune system to kind of lay down. But it means that, what about the germs then, right? What about the bacteria? Now they have free access in. Yeah, or else we trust that it's all right. Right? That we trust that, okay, you take a few days here where you're just relaxing, right? Or you take or you know that there are other yangs out there. Right? There are other yangs. And they can step in while you take a break. Right? Scorpio, right? It's something about again, the ocean. We know that the ocean has been quite polluted. Maybe we need to cleanse it, right? Maybe we need to do something about it from time to time. Fighting in murky waters here becomes difficult, right? There's no oxygen here. There's no life here eventually. Maybe we need to focus on healing it instead of fighting something here. So instead of just keeping fighting and creating more and more negative thoughts and feelings here, and more sense of revenge, and more sense of you could say power dynamics. Like this is a power dynamic where you're trying to fight something off, where this is more like I lay my weapons down now, right? I choose to put my swords down. This is air energy. It is a swords energy, air energy. But with the 4 here, and she also sits like that. She's not in a war position, right? She decides to accept that maybe she needs a break, but also that what you have been trying to fight here, or fight for, is, as I said, it in the 3rd dimension is not doable. Like to my knowledge, it's not doable. The 3rd dimension doesn't allow for unconditional existence, unconditional love, unconditional existence, like infinite. It doesn't allow for that. It's finite. We know we have a life and a death, right? We have a birth, or we have a childhood, and then we have an elderly life. We don't get to just exist in the middle all the time. Life changes, as I said. You can start out being fresh and young, and then you end up becoming the elderly one. Or, as I said, life changes. I talked about that in the Virgo reading, that maybe once you were 20 and you were looking great, and your body was perfectly shaped and everything. But now you are, like 60, and your life has changed tremendously. It goes, you could say, in fashion terms or so on, it goes downhill, right? It goes downhill when we get to the age of 40, perhaps, or something. So what to do with the rest of the life? It's like, and trying to keep something alive that is not there anymore. Like, we can even see Virgo as like the midlife crisis, right? Or that, because it's right in the middle. Virgo is right in the middle, and something seems like amazingly abundant in the first period, and then it kind of goes downward, or that something is declining. We have spring and light and summer in the first period, and then we get autumn, winter, darkness in this second sphere, right? It's like, and I feel like the zodiacs hold these energies, like somewhere in our mind here, somewhere we know that. It's kind of innately inbuilt in us, I think. So the fighting and defense is almost like, like the defense mechanism, the fighting. Again, when we are suffering, when we don't trust, we are on a defense, right? We are ready to kind of just say no or fight it off or something. We are not very receptive. We are not open and trusting. It can even be so within our families, right? That even though we are in like a family setting where we would hope that we could have a maybe more honest or more authentic or more loving environment, you can still have issues here. You can actually have a lot of issues within families and family dynamics. So Libra is advising here to come in with a change, right? We have to release the lower vibration. You could even say in the Libra, it came across as sacrificing something, sacrificing the pain in order to get something else. So sacrifice the responsibility of that you are the only one. When we get into oneness awareness, this is also where we know that, well, an example of this is that when you stand here, you're fighting off problems for maybe a loved one here. Let's say you are protecting someone here. You're protecting a child, perhaps. Right? So you stand as a defender around this child, perhaps, right? You have decided that nothing must happen to them. So now you are like this, like curling, this ice sport, right? Where someone lets this curling device glide over the ice, and you have these people like cleansing the way before the curling, right? There must be no little thing that can change the direction for this curling ball, right? That they keep swiping in front of it very fast, right? And you are one of those. Like that would be this one here, right? You are swiping in front of in front of this curling ball here, right? That would be, do you understand? Like that this must have a smooth travel. Do you get my, it can be, you know, like a child or a partner or someone who may have had a hit. Again, you're the yang after the hit, right? So you may have this feeling that you need to protect either a part of yourself or someone else. Maybe someone with Virgo attached to them somehow. That you're protective of them. Let's say you have a Virgo child here. And you're protective of them, right? So you could be curling, right? You could be swiping so that the journey they have becomes as smooth and like unproblematic as possible. But it then means that you take on all the problems. That's why you have intense energy, right? You take on those problems. It's almost like they stick to you somehow. Like like in physics, I would say you would need to be an atom that somehow draws problems to you. You know, it's almost like you're calling for them in order to keep something else. Like in order to avoid, now I get Jupiter. Now I get why Jupiter is here. Interesting. And Earth star. So interesting. I don't know if you know this. It just got to me. Because Jupiter is in our solar system, Earth is avoiding a lot of problem. I don't know if you know this. But the gravitational pull, oh, this is interesting. The gravitational pull of Jupiter means that it draws to it several kinds of smaller meteors and stuff. Like it's because it had all the big planets have this, right? But Jupiter is one of them, right? That it has a huge mass and it has a lot of gravitational pull. Because of that, Earth is avoiding something. Earth is avoiding problems because of Jupiter. But I said even Jupiter can become tired. Maybe that's why Earth actually did have a hit. Do you get my point? Like maybe Jupiter it did take a break at one point. You know, it laid its gravity down. I don't know if that has ever been possible. If you can disengage a gravity grid. But if that happened, maybe that's why Earth once, or as I said, it once had a problem, like it had a massive hit. But Jupiter, because Jupiter is that big, it has it draws to it, naturally it draws to it a lot of like dust that just swirls around in the cosmos, smaller meteors and stuff like that. Exactly enough to get it out of our earthly realm. Right? We are actually protected by Jupiter. We are protected by all the big planets, Saturn, Neptune, even perhaps Venus, because Venus is actually also quite big. But Jupiter is definitely the biggest one. And Jupiter has a fluid surface, so you can land on it. Like there is no mass, like there's nothing to put your feet on. Like it's fluid, but do you get my point? What I just said, it's like taking on the responsibility to keep something else safe. That's actually what Jupiter is doing now. And now I get the idea why it popped into my head. If Jupiter can get tired. I don't know if that's a thing, but maybe Jupiter did get tired once, or did have a, like go into, and it's interesting because we have, Jupiter is retrograding right now. Could that be like, like when Jupiter, well, Jupiter's not doing anything actually, but from our point of view, like here from Earth, when we look towards Jupiter, it looks like he moves differently in the sky. It's just an optical illusion, but that's how we see it. We call it retrograde. And there can be this feeling that, again, things from the past pop up, right? Retrogrades are usually always about things from the past. And Jupiter, as I said, it has this massiveness, like a magnifying glass. It becomes bigger. Maybe that's the reason why something is initiated here. It feels like it becomes more, but in retrograde perspective, it's interesting how it comes across here. Maybe for you, Scorpio, this time of Jupiter retrograde actually feels like a release, like you feel, only for you, Scorpio, I feel like, not for the other signs, but the load of something may actually feel like you are able to have a break. This is interesting, like, like having the break of getting, it's almost like an aura change, right? That you may have had an aura where things got kind of, because that's the your aura field, right? We all have an auric field, an energy field. It's almost like you have an energy field, Scorpio, that kind of draws all kinds of stuff to you. It's just how you are. Like that's how you are made. I said this before, that I believe that we are just atoms here. We all represent some kind of atom. Everything is atom, or everything is frequency or energy here. I don't really have this body actually. Just, well. So I'm an atom, you are an atom. This is an atom. This is an atom. It's Buddha here, right? Or my candle is, or so on. It all represents something. And in the oneness, all of this is in there in a perfect balanced way. But here on Earth, it's not like that. It's split up. So each of the things that are in perfect balance in oneness is now available, but split up. So I'm one of them. I have an opposite somewhere. I don't know how or where or who, or I have some kind of opposite energy. You have an opposite energy, the yin and yang. We have, so when the perfect healer is there, you have the big villain also. Like something like that. And you see, this is just my thesis, right? That we are all atoms. So instead of calling it oneness, you could call it allness. Like in the allness, all of this that is here is put together in perfect balance. But here on Earth, it's split up. It's not necessarily perfect balance, and we have to navigate it, as I talked about. We have to figure out what it is in alignment with us, what is parasitic, what is symbiotic for us, to feel safe and good and healthy or whatever. But you see, Scorpio, it's almost like you pull in, like you are that atom of the allness that pull in a lot of weight. Like you are like Jupiter in that way. Like you can be the one that fights off something. You know, like it's almost like protecting the core of Earth here, you know? Like protecting the core, the heart of Earth here. Earth heart. Like you're protecting Earth, you would say Earth Mother. Could be that you are protecting a mother. You are protective of mothers or motherly energy. This, again, motherly energy can be self-sacrificing. It can be the closest thing we may come to unconditional love. It's still not, but the closest thing, perhaps. And that is what you're fighting for. That is your fight, you could say, it or defense mechanism. When something touches upon this here, then you get up, right, and fight. But you are that atom. Scorpio, I think you are that atom. Like you are, like, as I said, Jupiter has this like big aura, a big planet, and it usually magnifies everything for us. Right now it's in retrograde. This could actually be a healing period for you. I don't think for others, but for you it could be. You know, it's almost like taking a vacation. I'm taking the load off my shoulder, and I believe that Jupiter is retrograding just until the new year, 31st of December. So it's a period of time now where you actually have maybe a feeling of like that the problem or that intensity that you're normally handling, that it's a bit less for you, but not for the other signs. Because some of the other signs deal with other stuff. They are protective, as I said, of other stuff, right? And but it seems like right now you get a sense of relief, right? That you can get a sense that maybe there has been a period of time where you have been fighting for someone here, taking on their workload, doing double shift, you know. The oneness part also, in this process, you will know this, that that when we take on responsibility from others or for others, we are not allowing them to go through their own evolutionary state. So like the curling ball there, if you were not swiping there in front of it, it would probably be derailed, and you know, like it would get off course somehow. And this is what you have been fighting for. It must not get off course, because then something terrible, it will not get to the end goal then. That's why you're swiping, right? So you're swiping for something to get to the end goal. And maybe what you have done actually is, and the heart massage you have done, as I said, the heart massage is to just keep the seed still on track towards a new earth initiation, a new like healing of the core of earth. And here again I have to talk about the fifth dimension. And when you do that, you put your weapons down. Like you have done this fighting, you have kept up the boundaries for this seed to start growing now. So you can actually have a feeling that you can relax. Does it make sense? Like maybe this idea of talking about Earth is maybe too big for you, but or I don't know, maybe it isn't. But take it into your private life then. Maybe you have been, like trying to keep someone safe here, or yourself safe in some way. Fighting off, maybe you have been hiding yourself, like a little seed that is special and precious, that must be saved by all means until Earth is ready. Until Earth is ready for this new initiation to a growth process. Like it's like when you get a hit of some kind, you have to have a certain period of time where you're healing. If someone comes in and says after 2 days, get up, get out, but your leg is still broken, right? It will not be successful. So initiating this seed too soon is a problem. Like initiating this seed for the next level of the green tomato, for the next growth state, is when you do it too soon, when things are not right, when the wound hasn't closed enough, it will be a failure. And I think you have been holding on to some of this, right? It will be a failure if this is initiated too soon. And until we are ready, until Earth is ready for this new initiation here, the fifth dimension, until I do the heart massage, I keep this little seed like hidden, but I'm doing the heart massage of it. I'm keeping it there. So you also, we know that you are secretive, right, Scorpio? And this can be one of your secrets, that you have actually, through bloodlines, inherited a seed that is, and maybe you have no other Scorpio in your family, right? Maybe they don't get you, right? But other Scorpios will, like they will probably get you. In this specific area here, they will get you. Like you can't initiate something. We know a newborn who is born too early is fragile, right? It can easily go wrong. So normally we would prefer the baby to stay in the womb until it's actually ready, right? It's like something about initiating this little seed here. The secret, this thing that has been residing deeply in you for a long, and other Scorpios, I think, for a long, long time, and you have all been doing the heart massage of this, that it is ready. It can come now and grow, but in order for it to grow, it cannot grow simultaneously with victimhood, or with pain and suffering. This little seed of unconditional love can grow when we have love energies, when we have peace, when we have calm, when we have support, when we have, like when it becomes painful and harsh and maybe cold, and the seed won't grow. It needs encouragement, right? It needs support. It needs an environment that actually will let it grow, that sees its value, that understands it. It needs trust, right? If we do, get my point, like a seed of unconditional love cannot grow where there is mistrust, lack, loss, coldness, no support. It has it and the maturing process, the growth process of something, even on Earth here. You can look at the tomatoes on my front picture, right? This is it's like the ripening of Earth. You can actually look at the tomatoes like Earth goes through some evolutionary states. And we are just that. We are in an evolutionary state of one of the green tomatoes there. We are not yet, we haven't come further along yet. And now we are initiating a new phase. So we are going from one size to another. And in that process, something like, for us to have the new experience, something from this other situation must kind of go. Like, we can't be like little and bigger at the same time. So it's a merging of something, right? And in that merging, that's what I feel like you are in here. Like, in that merging, something changes for you, right? Something changes, and I think you, right now, you may feel a relief, actually, or it will come in during this retrograde here. I feel like especially that you may feel like that it's not the same. And that could also be what the feeling of, this is a feeling of healing. So it's a caring feeling. It's not a war, defensive or protective or defender. This is a relaxing feeling of being safe, and you can breathe now. I feel like I talk to an overworked Scorpio. Like, you have been doing something for a very long time, keeping something alive for a very long time. Like swiping for a very long time for something to eventually get to the point where it can grow again. Earth Star Chakra again. This is what you have been working for. The new initiation here. On Earth, but also in yourself. Well, the Earth Star Chakra talks about, as I said, oneness. It's a feeling of becoming more whole. Collective consciousness, anchoring transmissions from the higher realm, sacred Earth knowledge, integration of the divine, and working with grid lines. So again, I talked about gravitational grid, didn't I? I said something like that. It's like the gravitation of Jupiter, or like, usually, isn't it so? I think that if people like emanate power, that it attracts something. Like, people that emanate power in some way, there are different ways of doing this, right? But being able to hold certain power, people get attracted to that, or things get attracted to it. And I think in the cosmos it's the same. You can look it up, this thing about Jupiter, that because Jupiter is there, Earth is avoiding something. Earth is avoiding certain hits because of Jupiter and the gravitational pull of Jupiter. If Jupiter wasn't there, we would probably have had many more like hits. There has been hits, but again, Jupiter can only take like as much as it can, right? There will be things that slip through. And there are others. We know that Neptune is there, Saturn is there. We'll take some of it also. And when we look at the inner planets, we have Venus as one of the big ones. We'll take something. And then, yeah, whatever comes through there that is not taken by the others will maybe hit us, or Mars, or the Moon, or others of their smaller planets. But something that has power, that has in some way like it's like their aura or the energy field kind of just draws it in. Maybe you feel like you have been like a magnet of problems here, right? That it's almost like people come with you, like they just send all kinds of meteors towards you. You have that feeling? So you somehow get involved in all kinds of stuff, even though you don't necessarily want it. It just comes, right? It's I think that it goes with all people that emanates power, right? Big power, because again, the yin and yang will say that some hold a lot of power and some do not. Like that is the yin and yang. If something holds a lot of power, there's something that holds very little power. So there can be a leader in those who hold power, and there can be followers. That is the yin and yang. We are just a microcosmos, right, of some of the things that happen out here. Here it's just split up, and we have to navigate through what is right for us. That's probably also why we have chemistry with some and we don't have with others. We feel either the push or the pull of something. The energy field is of each of us. Some have very restricted energy field that are very close to the body. Some have very big, like expanded energy fields. And people like Jupiter, right? Expanded gravitational field. And you don't have to even get close to. Then you can feel it. And I think that you could be holding energy that actually pulls something in. And because it is in the third dimension, it's probably not very pleasant. Like what you are dealing with or have been dealing with and could be interested in also has to do with navigation here. That's why you are into like the darker side of life. Because you get all it comes to you, like you get it. You have a gravitational pull that kind of, it pulls it in. So you could be into like, the darker feelings, managing it. It's very intense energy, like holding some of these darker energies, because you can actually. Not many others can. You can actually. Occultism, the darker arts of something. We can even go as far as, working with darker magic or something. But that is your area. Some work with white magic and some work with dark magic. It's just the yin and yang. That's what it is. But that's your field. And it's because you get like the hits of something, the incoming things that comes towards you. You need to navigate also. That's what I think about Scorpio. You hold very intense energy. It's not easy. But again, you adapt to it along the way. You adapt to it. As a child, you adapt to it. I believe most Scorpio children, they have, as children, they have, well, it could be anything. It could be something like seeing dead people. It could be that something comes towards you when you are sleeping or nearly sleeping, like it's approaching you. That it wants attention, that it wants contact somehow. That you could have the feeling of being yelled at a lot, or being, some of the negative things that come in. Again, the gravitational field, people can feel it. Either they are just avoiding it going around you, or they get sucked into it, like they get sucked into it, right? And some get sucked into it and engage with you, and others don't, right? But there's a power dynamic there, and it can suck people in that have less power. That's the magnetism, right? That you hold some kind of, and those who get towards you, they probably have less, like they have less, you would say, power in that way. And they are also not very power oriented. Right? They are maybe love oriented, but not power oriented. You are love oriented also, but you stand and hold like both energies. You have both power, because in the third dimension you need power. In higher vibration you don't. Power is like a defense mechanism for you, I think. It's a way of like navigating something. But in the fifth dimensional energy, you don't need it, right? You don't need to fight all the time. You don't need to fight all the time. You can actually relax. And this energy is here. It's available. It's starting. There is an initiation. It has already started. You may feel it as a relief, a sense of relief. But I think that some other zodiacs don't. Like, they think this is quite uncomfortable. Again, because for these higher love vibrations to be able to come in, we have to purge the sadness, the pain, the problems that has been in the third dimension. Like, we have to sacrifice that existence to have another one. As I said, with the little green tomato, right, and a bigger one, you can stay the same here, and then be this. Like, it's like then you have split personality. It's like your personality is changing from this into this, right? So you have to accept, either you stay, you don't want to go, you want to be little, or you want to stay in this third dimension, or you accept it. The initiation is here for you, Scorpio. It's definitely here for you to go towards this. But it requires trust. It requires to put down the weapons. You don't need to fight, right? There is another way. When people approach you with the meteors there is another way than just standing there and fighting it off. There is another way of... It's almost like there's this feeling of an incoming time right now where you are given a break. I feel like you're given a break. Maybe it's not just a break, because it says oneness. I don't think oneness is not necessarily like a temporary feeling. But it could be the feeling that you are... Well, it says here, if you are in a healing mode, explore clearing meditation, self-energy work, and put intentions into the meaningful parts of your life. Find ways to balance your life. Be aware of the times of day that are more conducive to Be aware of the times of day that are more conducive to different stages of consciousness, such as flow, meditation, and productivity. And also the other ones, lower vibrational. And then you can stop yourself, right? You can stop your thinking. I talked about that in some of the other readings, that we can become much more conscious about our day. You know, like if you have a bad experience at work, and you just got into some kind of fight with a co-worker or a boss or something. And I know some people, I don't know about you, Scorpio, but I know some people, they take it with them. Like they feel the dissonance, right? They feel how this was uncomfortable. We can get defensive. We think such an idiot, right? Doesn't understand anything, right? Such an idiot. So we become defensive and reactive. And sometimes we take this situation from work, we take us into the car when we are transmuting back home. We sit there. We make bigger about it, right? Like this, such an idiot, right? He has no clue of what he's doing. So he comes in here and thinks he can just take over or whatever happened, right? But we can sit there, kind of just keeping. So the story that is actually gone or done, it's actually not done. We still keep it alive. It's still here. It's still here. You get home, get out of your car. The story has been alive with you. It's still there. Even though it happened maybe hours ago, it's still there. You get home, you get into your home space, which should be your sanctuary. Like the place where you rejuvenate, where you can rest and feel happy and everything. And maybe that's also what we talk about here, right? That you have done this a lot, like you've taken the stories with you home. And they have still been there, right? Mudding your mood, clouding your judgment. And now it's like there's a time where you are owning that when you get home, it's up to me how I feel, right? It's up to me if I allow this stuff from like many hours back actually to be in my home now. Maybe you come in the door, and you start bickering about it. Yeah, I have to tell you, like my boss was just the most annoying, irritating, frustrating person today, right? And then he said that, and then he said that, and blah, 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 blah. And your partner is now the recipient of something here. And it clouds, like it does something to your home here. So we bring something that has transpired, we take it with us, we're actually keeping that alive, that story alive. And we take it into our home, we're still keeping it alive. We're still blah, 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 blah. We're still talking about it. We may call friends and tell them about this stuff. We may tell it to our parents or our siblings or something. Such an idiot, blah, 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 blah. So, and it means that you're actually not resting. Like the situation that got you off balance or where you felt it was very uncomfortable, it's still uncomfortable. Even when you are at home. Even when you go to bed, perhaps. You may lay awake at night thinking about it. Some do, right? And they take it with them. Next day they go to work. So be aware of what it is that you're keeping going, right? That's what I feel like some of these stories, like from the past, even like from way back, like from childhood, from ancestral stuff, the pain, the suffering of the third dimension, ancestral stories, they have to stay where they are. Like they have to, it's almost like we have to box them in somehow. We box them in, and we are in the shift between the third dimension and fifth. So this occurs, like it will occur that we have some of these like understandings or some of these experiences. But it's almost like we kind of have to just block them in and say, okay, it happened. I'm not allowing it to have power over me. So I'm not allowing it to mud my thinking, like cloud my thinking. When you listen to the news and they talk about poverty and attacks, war attacks in Syria, and now the inflation prices are up and taxes are rising and so on. And you can sit there and just like you can allow yourself to take it in and worry and oh that's a bad, well, what about my work then? Or like more taxes again, like then we take it in and it becomes this thing that we are worrying about, things that are outside of ourselves, from the system. We have no way of controlling it, but now it's activated in me. And I may think about it, right? If you have your own company, maybe these tax changes are actually quite a problem, right? Or certain prices have gone up, and now like shopping is really expensive now. Like we really have to turn every corner here or turn every coin, right? And you're worried about that somehow. And the more information you get and you take it in, the more it clouds you. The more you think about the problems. You're not thinking about things that are good, things that are beautiful in your life. Maybe you have a beautiful home. Maybe you have a really nice partner. Maybe you maybe you live by the beach and you could go along the beach. So instead of thinking about inflation, and you should think about how beautiful this is and how appreciative we are about this. This is the way you kind of let more of this in, right? It's how you let some of your awareness, your consciousness, like, as I said, like fresh breathing and feeling better. It's something about feeling differently, because we can sit in worry and anxiety and fear and panic and loss and lack and scarcity, and even if we had this experience at work, we take it with us while we drive home, and it clouds everything. We don't even see the sunshine. Sometimes we're thinking so massively about this that we don't even know how we got home. Like we don't remember us driving. Haven't you done that? I have. So I get home and I close the door to my car and I kind of, okay, I see I'm home, but I don't remember me driving home. I don't remember me actually, like signing and turning, and I don't remember. And then I get in the door, and if I don't manage my thoughts, I could easily keep doing it. I could easily keep that tape recorder running. It's one of the things that I think that we should become much more aware of, that something is not invading the time where you should rejuvenate, where you should have fun, where you should actually enjoy yourself, where you do feel safe, or hopefully where you do feel safe, where you are surrounded by, I don't know, beautiful things perhaps that you have chosen for your home, or that is your style. It's your style. It's comfortable for you, right? It's right for you. Hopefully right for you, right? And it should give you a sense of maybe relief or safety. Again, the fresh, relaxing breathing. But we can sometimes destroy that by taking the bad experience with us. And then we have no balance, right? That it will always be serious, it will always be a problem, we will always feel unsafe. Even when we are home, in our home, we're still feeling unsafe. We're still fearing for our work. We may feel uncomfortable in the body because it's it's a problem at work, or I feel so dysregulated somehow. Like dysregulation, emotional dysregulation can invade your life. And this is also maybe like something about what kind of work you have, right? Maybe you have been working like, let's say you are a policeman here. It means that you're defending something. And you're used to, like, when you get to work, it's always dark. It's always problems. Maybe other people's problems. It's always taking responsibility for something when others are not. Some are irresponsible, and we come in and clean it up here. We come in and save and protect and regulate here, right? But I'm the one doing it, and I just see others. Others don't care. They are unreliable. They are not the ones that stand up for others. They are not the one that... and even Jupiter can get tired, as I said, right? Even a policeman can get tired, because it's maybe giving yourself a break here. But also I feel like getting over yourself, this idea that you're the only one who can do this. Like everything depends on you, because if you change your job here, if you decide, I don't want to be a policeman anymore, I want to do something that is like it's karma or something here, you have the right to do that. You have the right to change your occupation. You have the right to go in a different direction. You don't have to stay here and fight. Maybe someone else comes along who will take up that kind of approach. But it is a fighting approach. And it's like that kind of existence, that third dimensional survival thing, it's like we are kind of just, it's becoming obsolete. All the pain, all the sorrows, all the loss, all the you know, like all the tears, like it's becoming obsolete. We're moving towards an initiation of something else here for Earth, and we are moving with it whether we want or not. So all the like harboring the bad, harboring the vengeance and the hate and revenge actions and thoughts patterns and all this stuff, you're required, Scorpio, to let it. That's the invitation here. You're required to, or you invited, not required. You have free choice. You are invited to let it be in the past. Also for your own benefit, right? For you to actually have a relief, for you to have a smoother sailing, something that is kinder here, more trusting and more open, because that's actually what you're defending deep down. Unconditional love. Raw, vulnerable. But again, this idea that it's vulnerable is because we have been living in a world where vulnerability is a bad thing. But before the hit of the Virgo, that was how life was. It was with an openness. There was no idea of good and bad. There was no idea of vulnerable, unvulnerable, or what is the opposite? Something that can be harmed, right? Vulnerable, you can be harmed, and the opposite would be where you can be harmed. It didn't exist. And we can't even imagine what that would be like, can't we? That is not a thing, right? We know that there's something that potentially could harm us or make us feel uncomfortable, discomfort. And we are always scanning for that, to the point that we are actually forgetting when there is comfort, when there is peace, when there is no fighting, when there is support. Sometimes we don't even recognize it, but we recognize the other, right? That's the amygdala, I think, center in our brain, fear center, very activated in our current state of being or evolution. I think we are moving towards another one. There is an invitation right now to go towards another step of the tomato, right? Another step towards that. And it's an invitation. You can go there if you want to. It comes in, to me it comes in like very gently. It's very not forceful. It's very gently, like just emerging itself like an offer. And you can take that offer or you cannot. You can not do it. But when you take the offer, if you choose that, you will get to the point of needing to shed the old world. You have to be prepared to say the old stuff, even though I have that I can't forgive, like there's forgiveness also here. If you seem like you can't forgive the past, the pain and the hurt of the past, it's like we are all invited to forgive and working on trusting again, and grace also again. When we are very active and very like quick in something, grace disappears. When we are slow, that's also why, like ballet dancers, it's graceful, right? It's a graceful way of moving, because it is, and other kinds, it's considered yin. It's considered the way the mother touches you, right, is a graceful, kind, not very forceful kind of way of using her energy. It's more graceful somehow. Well, this is not very graceful, right? It could be effective sometimes, or it could be like needed perhaps sometimes, depending on what's going on. But if we want grace back, in our life, we have to choose it. It means that we also have to sit, right? We have to sit sometimes. Grace comes in healing comes in when we become soft and we sit, or we lay, or we meditate, or we are kind to each other. So if that is what we want back, well, you can still stand here and fight, of course. Or we could start embracing more of the things that we do want, instead of fighting the things we don't want. I hope this makes sense somehow. Yeah, this is what I feel like I have here. Also know that when you embrace grace more, your energy field starts to shift. You could actually start to attract something else, not just the meteors, right? you could attract something else. You become an antenna for something else. And there is a difference in, like having your shoulders up and defensive, and becoming a person that actually has your shoulders down, and you may actually not have your weapons up. Your energy field will change then. I hope it makes sense somehow. Please comment if you want to. But I think it's quite important, this idea of the Jupiter gravity thing, that when people hold a lot of power, when they're actually able to hold very intense power, it draws something in. And sometimes it's not the best thing that comes. Sometimes it doesn't matter, it's just dust passing by, right? And other times something actually comes in that can be a problem. But what if you could attract something that is like beautiful? What if you could be an antenna that draws in beauty and love instead of drawing more and more problems towards you? Because you haven't released the pain. Does it make sense? If you stand in more love, your energy field changes, you can attract something different. But it takes work, right? It takes energy work and clearing and maybe purging. And you are in an initiation process of this right now, I feel like, Scorpio. I hope this helps somehow for you. I wish you the very best always. Yeah. But if anyone can do this, Scorpio, it's you, right? So I love you. You know that. I think you hold very, very intense energy, and it's difficult. So I send you all the best love I can for this healing journey. That you don't get stuck down there, right? In the misery, that you actually find your way up. And I think you have been given some kind of invitation here to have that, like a rope, like a rope that has been sent down to you, that you can grab onto this and get up if you have been stuck in some kind of misery feeling, right? Because it can happen. Again, as I said, even Jupiter can get tired, right? So if that has been the case and you have been sitting in some kind of misery and having a hard time getting out of it, I think it seems like there is a sense of relief or help here that wants to come in and offer you something here, if you take the invitation. So this is what I have, Scorpio. Take very good care of yourself out there. I send you my best love and light to you.